that I've given them then give more reservations, and it can go on to infinity. So this provides a way to take the sum total of all the stuff that makes up that cluster and break it down into logical separations that make sense from business rules. And that's why you create resource pools. We'll get a little bit further in a future nugget into permissions and then how you might assign permissions into these resource pools. You think about it, right? It doesn't make any sense for me to create a marketing resource pool unless I give the marketing people the permissions to do stuff, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is the last piece of a cluster, which is, all right, I want to chop the cluster up into little bits, and then those bits are equal to how many resources I want to assign. So this kind of takes us into the final topic for this nugget, and that topic really is this whole notion of extending the cluster concept into the data stores, right, and into the storage. And turning DRS, which was for a very long period of time just focused on the brains of the VM only, into something that can operate for both the brains and the body of the VMs in this thing called storage DRS. Now, a lot of storage DRS, it's the same kind of concept that we've already talked about as it relates to regular DRS. You got to have storage, you got to have enough storage, you got to have places for storage to go. Where you will actually configure that storage is here under data stores and data store clusters. Now, you'll see all the different data stores that we've created. You'll notice here that I actually have 2 more data stores that I've created, data store 2 and 3, that are currently available and attached to by all 3 hosts. And I've done that because I want to create a new data store cluster. I'll call it my data store cluster and turn on storage DRS. Now, remember, DRS is load balancing. Okay, a data store cluster is a bunch of different data stores that I've aggregated together so that I can load balance the use across those data stores. So I can either do automation, or I can do, in this case, just only full automation. I'm going to leave it at no just for now, just to make things easy. And if I choose next here, I'm skipping over the advanced button because there's not much to see there. A data store cluster, and this DRS pieces that are doing all the moving around with a data store cluster. The idea here is that your data stores can become unoptimized for one of 2 reasons. One is because you've got too much space in one side and you've got not enough space on another side. So your space utilization, your consumption is imbalanced. The other is that you've got too many machines that are trying to run too many things against one data store, and another data store is sitting here pretty much doing nothing. That's I/O latency based thresholds. And these are what these 2 are here. Now, you can turn off the I/O metric for recommendations, which means I only care about capacity. I only care about utilization. I don't care about performance. If I turn on this metric, I'm going to turn on that storage I/O control, if you remember that from a previous nugget, on all the data stores in this cluster, so that now I'm going to actually SV motion my virtual machines around based off of if I'm running low on space, or if I've got one data store that's just getting too hot and too many machines are using it. Kind of a neat idea here. When I do so, I got to figure out what my thresholds are, 80% for utilized space, and how many milliseconds of I/O latency I really care about.